Okay, ladies, we're live. Is everybody talking into their mics? Let's just make sure. When you're speaking, I need you to speak into the mic. Thank you.
I'm speaking into the mic.
Oh, yes, I need you to keep that same energy.
Boom, shakalaka, boom.
Ladies, welcome to another episode tonight. How is everyone doing?
Bomba clat.
Doing great. How are you?
Fired up. That's how I'm doing.
We
fired
like
up.
fire. We like the fire.
Light it up, light it up.
There's fire under the bumpsy.
Yes.
Well, that's what the season is all about. So let's get it, Lisa.
All right, ladies. So this episode, we're going to be talking about how boys are treated different than girls. And we're going to react to the standards of that.
What's happening, family? You're listening to the Unfiltered Lyman with BLT. Every week, we will reflect on our journey on trying to navigate between our parents' traditional culture versus American culture. Oh, gosh, boy. We are your hosts.
Bertie, the Haitian sensation.
Lisa, the Dominican diva.
And of course, Terry, the tantalizing Trini. Olya, no one is talking. So let's get unfiltered.
So hold on to your Bamsies. Let's get this show popping over here. Okay? All right. So ladies, let's just get this popping over here. So the reason why we're talking about this, because I feel like this is an age-old topic. I feel like first question, first at hand, will these standards ever be different? Will they ever change?
No.
No. I mean,
yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I would like to think that there is some change on the horizon, but I don't know, I feel like every time we take one step forward, we take 10 steps back. So
I feel like it has. Okay, so yes, I could see how it's changed because the women movement, they call it. I don't want to say feminist, but I think like men are seeing women or being a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? More maybe open and aware, you know what I mean, of those standards, because I think the thing is, it's like when you do something over and over, sometimes you're not aware. So I think the woman movement is kind of like challenging men to be aware that, hey, these things do actually exist, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, that's true. I think also to the double standards, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the double standards will ever get erased. As much as we would like to, as much as we are trying to work on them, I don't think they're ever going to erase, because boys and men are always rewarded and praised for heterosexual sexual contacts, whereas girls and women are stigmatized. It's derogatory for any similar behavior, right? So how do we change that? And especially the West Indian culture versus American culture.
Yeah, that's even, I feel like, not trying to be funny, I feel like being in America, I feel that there's hope, maybe a little bit more hope than in the Caribbean culture. It's like old school ways. Look at here now. That's right there. I feel like there's more hope for the standard in America to at least open up and have the conversation. Old school ways, and I don't know about that one. I don't know, Lisa.
Here's the thing. This is my thought process. I see it as, like you did say, I'm going to expound on every time we take a step forward. So 1 minute is we're by the door, okay? Then they let us in. Then we get into the boardroom. But mind you, we're in there and then they don't want us to say anything. So it's a step. Every time it is a step. We're getting closer, but every time it is a step, they put in another block or another hurdle. That's the word. Another hurdle for us to go over. Okay, so y'all in. You wanted a seat at the table? Okay, so you got a seat at the table. All right, but they don't want you to talk. So now we have to have our voice. Okay, so the next thing is that, yeah, we have a voice and we need to be heard. So every step we have to keep pushing it. We have to join together as women, and this is not a color thing. This is a female thing across the board. Because and you know something, let me sidebar. It's a female thing across the board for us to move. However, we, from being Caribbean, we have to do a little bit more because of our color, because of where we come from. So we have to be extra with it. So even though we in the line, we still got to do extra to keep up, to make sure that we don't get left behind. So this is a process. It's like a never-ending process. We can't slip. We got to keep our head on a swivel all day, all night. It's tiring as hell, but you know something? We have to keep it is, and we have to keep on doing it, because if not, that's the opportunity for them to basically push us back to the back of the line. And fuck that, we ain't getting to the back of the line. I know I ain't.
It has more to do because double standard. So I understand double standard, but do you feel also that there are things, not trying to be funny, that the old song, like anything you could do, I could do better, right? Or are we saying that we could do or want to do everything a man can do when we're talking about double standard? Because the thing is, and conversation that I have with both sides is looking at it from this point of view. If we are women are saying that, yo, there's a double standard, there's this, right? We want all these equal rights that men have and all these, opportunities or whatever. Does that pertain to everything? Or does that pertain to the things that we feel we should go into, vice versa? Does that make sense?
Well, what do you mean example of something in particular? When you say
so let's talk about like relationship, right? Normally we women expect certain things, standards from a man, right? You want him to provide, you want him to do certain things, right? But the thing is, men don't expect that standard from us. So if we're saying double standard, then are we saying that, okay, when we go into a relationship, we are as equal, like should they have also those standards on their end? When we look at how, you understand what I'm saying? Like, so
it should be some level of standards, but
do we want the same or we want different because we have different role, or do we, like, you understand what I mean? Like, if he's not,
example,
if he's not, let's say you go into a relationship with a man, right? And if he's not a protector, and you're a protector, is that a double standard? Like, you expect him to be a protector, then should you be a protector as well? If he's not a provider, or if you understand what I'm saying? Like,
if he's a protector, I'm going to protect and make sure the money is spent correctly. I'm going to protect the bag.
Lisa, I think she's talking about physically protection. Yes, I think she's talking. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Or the head. Let's say, like, the man is supposed to be the head of the household, right? Or you wanting to be the head of the household, the head of the household.
Here we go.
Like, that's what I'm saying. I know it always comes back to it, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, when we're talking about standards, I'm saying in every aspect of standards, is it really gonna be? Are we willing to also think like, okay, there's double standards, but are we willing to say, you have these standards and I want all these standards that you have? Is that what we're saying?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I think that in society to me has set it up in certain ways that, yes, that the women are subservient in certain areas. However, I think we as women have to decide exactly what exactly is it that we want. Or what exactly are because if we say, just like I just said, I know I want a seat at the table, but does that mean that seat at the table is at the table in the house where he's supposed to be the head of the household, or is it in the board? So we have to be a little bit more specific, because 1 minute and I think that's where they're getting confused. And I think that's why a lot of times they try to keep us at bay, because they're saying you need to know your place, stay in your lane. Okay. So if they're saying that you need to stay in your lane, then we as women have to be, if we're going to step up, you have to be sure and clear about where and why you're stepping up in what area. So,
and what the standards are,
exactly. I feel too. Exactly. So that, I think that right there is that right there could be, if you're not clear about it, it could be misconstrued, because they'll tell you, they'll throw in your face, oh, well, you big bad, you big and bad here. Oh, you can't be big and bad there. You big and bad. You know, your mouth is big at the boardroom. Oh, yeah. Oh, so you can't be big and bad at home. Sometimes we have to know, we as women have to know, wait a minute, Lisa, we have to know when to fall back. Because if we are always stepping up and want to be big and bad in everything across the board, then the man is going to be like, fuck you need me for, in the end.
Yeah, that is true. We had this conversation before. Yes. I think there's a place, a time and place for everything. Me personally, I am a huge advocate. Like, I want a seat at the table at work, at the boardroom. Okay. I'm going to be big and bad and flex at work at the boardroom. But when I come home, I don't want to be in the house flexing. That's not what I want to do. I'm trying to come home and chill.
Correct. I agree.
And you're the protector of the household, and you should be the head of the household. And
so that goes back to double standard.
Put my feet up.
Double standard. Why? That's exactly what I'm saying. What if the man is like, well, damn, I don't want that. Maybe I want to just chill. That's what I'm saying. So we are deciding that we want these things, right? But they can't turn it off, because our men go out there and they're leaders in every. So what we're saying is we women have a choice to pick and choose. So when I go out in the world and I choose this or whatever, but he can't. So he sits at the table and he has to be the man. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he can't turn it off. But we're saying that we have a choice. So is there a double standard? Because, and I'm just making the conversation, because we also have to understand, like, you're saying we have a choice, because we have a choice to say, yo, I want to be big bad outside the boardroom and, whatever. But he can't say that. Think about it. Your man can't say that.
That's true. B is correct. You can't go to the boardroom and be the lion and you roaring, and then when you come home, you're so it's. I mean, Simba. Exactly. So that something to it. Yeah, it is a double standard. I would say so, because like she said, the men cannot turn it off. They always have to be on top all the time, literally. However, when we flip it now,
if you like it that way,
when we flip it now, they're coming at us.
We always go there.
When we flip it, they saying to us, okay, so which one is it? I mean, so it does get confusing. It really, really does. But wait a minute. Here's the thing, though, B. The only reason that we are doing this is because we were forced to be put in certain positions. And I would have to say, and I think it's safe to say, when we got into those positions, we liked it. Something, we liked that power. We liked how it felt. So we didn't want to stop and turn it off. But in the beginning, it wasn't that. But we were forced to be put in those positions. Okay, when the men had to go away, or when the men were killed, or when so we were forced to be put in those positions. So what do you expect? So now the men come back now and they're like, okay, well, thank you for, you was the placeholder. Okay, I need to move to the back. And we like, whoa, no, I don't think so. I've been running shit here and holding it down. So I think that's where it gets muddled.
The conversation. And I understand that, but at the same time, it's from what I'm understanding, you're saying is we were put in this position and we liked it. We liked the power, right? So as women, again, it goes back to we've talked about this. Men and women, we have different roles, right? So if you're a unit with your family, right? Your man is going out there to provide and protect. So he left to provide and protect, right? He comes back, and even though we like the power, but he didn't, how would I say, he didn't give up, right? He didn't give up. So are we fighting him now for that power? You understand what I'm saying? Like, so is it on us more than them? So in a way, are we fighting ourselves against them for the standard? Because he didn't give up his role to just be out there. He's providing and protecting for us. So the power wasn't like you understand what I'm saying? So he's not putting you in that place for just no reason but he went out there to be able to provide. So it's not his fault that he's coming back. Like, now we like the power. That's fine. But what do we do with that? What do we do with, you know what I'm saying? Like, do we redefine our role and say, yo, I've been running shit and you just coming back, so we're going to have to 50-50 this power thing? What we're doing? You understand what I'm saying? Like,
if I understand correctly also, too, there's another perspective to look at this, right? When I made the statement about that you come home, I don't want to be in that role at home. But it's I think it's on a different level, because even though he's head of household, this is an earlier conversation we have that us women still control the net. So therefore, yeah, he may be head of household on somebody outside looking in, but in the house, us women, we're still running the household, okay? We're taking care of whatever needs to get done in the house. We're taking care of the kids. We're taking care of whatever financial. Yeah, he might be bringing the money in, but we might be taking financial decisions. We're making like, are we moving here? Or we're saving this much? What financial investments we should make? What should we do that's best for the unit? A lot of times the woman is the head of household. Don't they make the statement, happy wife, happy life?
That's correct.
They do. But that statement is funny because I've heard something about that statement, but go ahead.
So it's all perspective how you look at things, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I may be at work, I'm at the table, I am over here like, yo, I'm running shit and blah, 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 I'm the boss and all of that stuff. When I come home, I may be running home, but I'm not taking the same temperament. Does that make sense? So saying that, okay, I don't want that role, I want to come home and be submissive. Am I really being submissive? I'm not really being submissive, because and at the end of the day, everyone in the household is still going to the woman to be like, yo, what should we do? What should be done? Right? She's still taking care of the household. It's just in a different capacity, and it might not be as aggressive as in the ballroom. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's different. So, it's a different perspective. Yeah. It's
a different perspective. So we still running, we got the power running the house. We might be running in the boardroom. The temperament might be different. It's going to be different. Right?
Yeah. Do you think that men, though, when they come home, their temperament is different from when they leave the boardroom?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Okay.
Because they also too they're going at work. Their emotions are put to the side. You know what I'm saying? They're making decisions, but when they come home, they want to feel emotionally vulnerable.
Okay.
They have to be emotionally available for their significant other. They get to show more of their emotions when they're home.
Do we allow that, though, you feel, as a standard for women? Do we allow them to be able to do that?
Maybe not, because in the old school thinking is that men aren't supposed to cry, men aren't supposed to show their feelings, they're not supposed to whatever. I think the standards today are getting better with us women sitting back and being like, it's okay. We want our man to show emotions. We want them to be emotionally...
You know?
No.
Sorry.
No, what? You're not. No. I'm listening to you when you're talking about emotionally. That's why I'm like, where is she going? I'm like, where is she going with this? So wait a minute, Lisa. Rewind and come again, because this here is getting hot.
I'm sorry. I should have did the disclaimer. Is it American household or West Indian household?
That's why I'm like,
which household that is.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Terry's thinking American. I'm thinking, okay, sorry, let me clarify. In the American household, people are more susceptible to start accepting men's being more emotional, being more emotionally available for their men, and allowing their men to be emotionally available to them, whatever. Just showing their emotions and, you know, their feelings and everything. Now in the West Indian culture, that's not going down. Emotions, what is that? Feelings?
Even with our generation, you think?
Ugh.
As our generation, have we changed that, do you think?
I don't think it's as far gone as American. I think it's changing, but I don't think it's that. You think so, Terry?
It is.
You think there's been change?
It's
that
not,
far along?
It's not that far, but there has been a little. Yes, it has been a little change. It's not. I think it's not as prevalent. It's not as prevalent as the Americans, but there is some. There is some change. Yeah.
There's some progress and there's some change, but it's still way behind, I think, compared to the American culture.
The American culture is way more ahead of us. Oh, definitely. But we slowly trickling behind. We're taking a couple of steps. That's why I said, you know, there is some.
We chipping.
There you go. We chipping. We chipping. That's she right. She is right, because it's one big carnival.
So let me ask you this, because I think there's one standard for me in the Caribbean that I think, well, I feel like this standards across the board between men and women, boys and girls, is the dating thing, right? So, and it's very, like, I feel like that's where sometimes our sexualities and dating, that's where standards kind of like become prejudice. For me, I can only speak for me because of the fact, like, example, in the Haitian culture, girls, like, if you came in age and stuff like that, you weren't allowed to date. You weren't allowed to date multiple people to find out what you like. They expected you to, like, be with one. You meet somebody, you ain't sleeping around, you ain't dating a bump, and that's your husband, right? They didn't give you the opportunity to grow and to find out what you like, unlike, you know what I'm saying? And even I feel sometime in the American culture is the same thing. They don't like women. It's like men can sleep around and there's no issue. They ain't being called a bitch. They ain't calling a hoe. They ain't being called a slut. They ain't being called nothing. You sleep with 1-2 people and all of a sudden you this whole thing. So for me, that's standard. But at the same time, I want to also look at it on the other side, because that standard to me is I'm 50-50 because of the fact that I also feel as women maybe are, because, you know, your virginity and all this stuff, they look at it as more precious than a male. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they feel like you are losing. And I know a lot of the African West, like that, even in all cultures, they just look at that like women. And for me, I feel like that's where the standard, they look at that standard, like your value and your virginity and your, you know, womanhood. Like I think men.
It definitely starts from there, the masculinity side of a man, and their dads, they're overprotected over their girls. They don't want these dirty little boys out here touching their babies. So that's where it starts. Let's just keep it real. That's where it starts. You know, they know the dirt that they have done. They know the thoughts in their minds that they have. They know that they're driven by alternative heads. So they have little girls. They want to protect them. So that's where it starts. That's where the double standard. That's just where it all begins, right?
That's that bullshit.
But do you think that it's okay for us, like, if you had 2 kids, right? You had a boy and a girl, and let's just be really honest, because I had this conversation with the father of my child. Like, if you had a boy and a girl, right, same age, whatever, growing up, and your daughter comes up to you and say, I had 20 sexual partners, and let's say she's 18, 20, between 2 years, right? I'm just using this as an example, and I'm going to extreme. And your male son says the same thing. How would you literally in your head think about it, react to that? Like, are you gonna say, okay, well, he's a boy, it's okay, you know, or are you gonna look at it the same and say, yo, that's effed up, that's too many, like, be honest.
No, they're gonna give their boys a pat on the back.
No, I'm saying for you. I'm saying for you. I'm saying these are for you.
Oh, my kids. What would I say?
Yes.
Listen. First of all, I would have to maintain, only based on what I know now, I'd have to maintain the same energy. It's not right for the both of y'all.
Okay. Good answer.
Both of y'all. No, both of y'all No, because then I have to, at that point, talk about self-worth, self-respect. Can you look at yourself in the mirror? Them bodies you can't take back.
True. I like that.
For me personally, yeah, you can't take them bodies back.
Okay. What about you, Terry?
I would have to ask. I would have to say to the girl, is that the reason why my door, people just be knocking down the door for you? I don't know. I was like, your cat must be on fleek. And that's what I would say. You're big cat. No, I'm just joking.
That's what you say to your girl. Okay, I was going to say, what the hell?
I feel like she would. I feel like you would say that, Terry.
Terry going to big up her daughter. That's great.
No, seriously. No. I agree with what Lisa said. Both of them. I think that when you have multiple sex partners, that's a lot on, I know for women it's a lot on the emotions. For men, and you know something, believe it or not, on some level it's a lot on their emotions too. You know, they don't show it exactly. So doing that to me is a little bit irresponsible, because you have to really understand what it is and why you're doing it. You know, it's like it would be equivalent. It would be like somebody just eating just to be eating. Every time you sitting down, you're eating food. Why are you doing that? There's a reason why you just constantly eating all the time. So why you have all these multiple partners, whether it's my daughter or whether it's my son, you know? So it's a responsibility issue. It really is a responsibility for self and what you're pulling into your energy and into your body and into, you know, your circle. So that, I think that's the way I would have to come at it. So yeah, Lisa, I'm piggybacking off of what you said. I totally agree with what you said.
I totally agree with both of you, because I know when I had my son and talking to his father, that was one of our conversation, because I was like, if it was up to me, the same thing you would say to your daughter is to keep themselves until they actually meet. And then it's funny because in my mind, the standard I already knew, and I was like, but I know that's not going to happen, because you're going to expect your little girl to, you know what I'm saying, if we had a girl, like to keep her virginity until, you know, she's married and all this stuff. But then his reaction was like, well, he's a boy. See? And I was like, you know, and I'm thinking, but my thing is, if we expect girls, again, another standard, expect girls to stay virgins until they meet the right person or marriage, then why is it not okay for
the boys to do the same thing?
To teach our sons that? You understand what I'm saying? And I know that's one of those standards that's not, that one for me is never going to change. I don't feel like that's a standard for me when it comes to dating, when it comes to that. I feel like when it comes to sexuality and how women are viewed versus boys and men are viewed and all that, that particular standard, I don't think is going to change. But I think some standard, or eventually, like you said, in the American culture, is slowly saying further ahead. But there's just some standards I don't think Caribbean America is not going to change.
So let me ask you.
So I have another question. Go ahead.
So real quick, where do you think that mentality stemmed from? Because that's
the dark of age,
right? But that, because
men hear me war.
Well, because that's not an American thing. That's not a Caribbean thing. That's a across the board thing, right or wrong.
See, I have to disagree. Let me take it back.
Okay.
I have to disagree. I think it's a Western, not a Western. I think it's and I don't want to call it, because I don't want to seem like I'm always picking on black, white race thing. But actually, if you do your history of black history, African history, and all this stuff, they had queens, and the way they viewed women and dealt with women is different to what Caucasian folks dealt with women as you understand what I'm saying? So actually that did not stem from, because if you go into some African tribes and culture, they value and see women way differently. They've had female president. They've had, they look at their women very differently than maybe our counterparts on the other side. So, I think it came from, I don't know, I don't think
some Middle Eastern too, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just don't I don't know what to tell you that it came from, but it's not passed down from old ways or things like that, because that's not true.
When did it turn the corner?
That's a great question. I don't know.
That's a question out there. D Lyman crew, if anybody has an inkling or knows, when do you think that we turned the corner and things just totally, went left? Because if we were viewed and seen in different ways and the standard was different, and then when we turn the corner now, it's a whole different bacchanal going on, then are we getting watered down as we go? So each time that we turn the corner, is it getting more watered down?
That's a very great question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So the last question that I had for you ladies, part of this double standards on how male and females are treated differently, men and women, or boys and girls are treated differently. Do you think that guys are jealous of girls based on some of the items or things they can do just as well, or if not better than men?
I do.
I think women were more jealous than they are. I feel.
Whoa, wait. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Rewind.
Sorry.
Hold on. Rewind and come again. So you think women are more jealous of men?
Yes.
How so?
We talk about the standard. I feel like no. Okay, Terry said no. Go ahead. I'll let you answer. That's what Unfiltered. We have a different perspective. I think that we are.
Yeah, that's fine.
And maybe it goes back to when you read the Bible and all this other stuff, and because the reason I say we may be more jealous is because I think not always, sometimes we haven't, like you said, understood our role, right? We haven't understood that for men to function, we're the neck, right? We haven't really understood that we don't have to fight to be the head. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have to fight the power to be the head if we understand that we control the neck. You understand what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times as women, or when you look at feminine movement and all these other stuff, we want to control it all, and understanding like we don't have to do that. So for me, I feel like that's why sometimes I feel like we're more jealous, because like you said, when we sit there and we have the power and all this stuff, we want to stay in power, and not understanding like sometimes our power doesn't have to be to fight against him for that power. It's just understanding that we have a different, like you said, Lisa, a different power, and we just need to align ourselves with our power and not trying to align ourselves with the power that he has, because it's two different powers. And I feel like sometimes that's where I feel it could be a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like gray. Okay. That's why I say that.
Okay. Terry, your perspective?
My perspective is...
Because Terry just looks like... Terry looks like she's...
Okay, so I feel like sometimes men, when they look at us like, damn, y'all have like the best of both worlds, because you're getting okay, same scenario. You go to the boardroom, you want to be heard, you're being heard, they're respecting you, and then you come home and then you get to be submissive. And then you get somebody to take care of you. So it's the best of both worlds. Whereas a man now, he can't do that. He always has to keep, it's like he always has to keep his head on a swivel all the time. He can't be slipping. Like when we just said, he can't show feeling. He can't show that, that he's softening up, for lack of a better word. He can't show, any weakness. Everything he always has to be strong. And when you have to do that all the time, it's tiring as hell. So we get to turn on the switch. We could walk out the door, flip the switch on, and we the bad bitch. And when we come back, flip the switch off, and we... So I think that sometimes they look at us and be like, you could go out and you could turn it on and turn it off. But no, for me, I always have to be, always with my head, your head on a swivel all the time. So that's just my take on it.
How about you, Lisa?
I personally feel that So I asked the question. I feel that there are men that are jealous of us women. They are jealous if they can see that we can do the same things that they can do. And on top of that, we create humans.
Ooh, good point. Good point.
That's good.
Mic drop.
Score. Score.
You think that they're jealous because of that? No, I'm just asking. You really think that they are?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I think, and the reason why I say that, I think they're not so much jealous that we make babies. I don't really think half of them, majority of them are really interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's the things that they see that we can do that they can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Anything that we see that they can do and we come out here and we can do it, that part of it, they feel jealous in the sense that, okay, I don't need you. Okay. I don't need you. Right? So if they can go and build a house with their bare hands, and you have women out here building a house with their bare hands, I don't need. They feel. What do I need you for?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And then on top of it, I need you to just drop the seed off, and I'm making humans. Come on, yo.
They didn't drop the seed off.
Yeah, they feeling some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So. That's just, that's my personal opinion on that. So, yeah. I am so glad we had this conversation tonight. Yeah. Ladies, our tips for our conversation today for our fellow D-Liming crew.
So my tip is women, girls, need to understand their value and worth is not to compete with men or boys.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. That competition thing, that is huge. We are in it together, people. We are in it together.
Correct.
That's huge. It doesn't have to be a competition at all.
Okay, Lisa, what is your tip?
My tip is don't come for women unless you're ready for a battle.
Bomba! I like that.
Yeah.
That is my tip. Terry, and what is your tip?
My tip is there are really levels to this. That's my tip. There are really levels to this.
True.
Yes,
that is true.
Yeah.
Well, I think our fans, D-Liming crew listening, let us know if there are standards that you feel are double standards. Are they going to change? Which one do you feel have changed, have not changed? All the good, bad, American, Caribbean. And like Terry said, let us know when we turn the tide to, when women were, viewed differently. And do you feel like it's still the same or not the same? Even when it comes to dating, if you had a boy and a girl, would you be okay with both of them sleeping with the same amount of people?
Yep. 20 exactly. To be exact. That's the
20.
number we're holding today.
Yes.
20.
And please, if you have a tip, leave the tip.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yes.
D-Liming crew. Yes. Thank you for hanging out with us with another episode. Ladies, have a wonderful evening. And
You
Terry?
too.
Yes, and we are out. All right, people, the Bacchanal Queens, we are ready to leave. But before we leave, we would like to thank you for joining us this week on Unfiltered Lyman with BLT. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and join our Facebook page. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh, exciting content. See you next Thursday, same time, same station. Unfiltered Lyman with BLT is edited and produced by Unfiltered Lyman with BLT.